Salvation, where unknown forces strike the edge of ecology.
Hi guys, thank you all for being here again. Each week that we are out here is not a waste. It is what is getting our name out there and getting us noticed, spreading the word of what is going on at the moment. Today we've got leaflets to hand out as we walk and march. Please do take some and engage with people as we go. I'll stop at regular intervals so that people who have been chatting to people can catch up. When you're talking to people, we want to be the hope, the joy, and that we're offering is attractive and an alternative to what we have now. All of us here know the true extent of the destruction of the economy and the long-term implications of that, the lives that will be lost. We know how many people have died due to lockdown. We know that the government have manipulated and taken this as a perfect opportunity to enact power grabs that would have never otherwise have gotten through. But these things are going to worry people. They are worried enough. We need to be the light, the change that people need. Talk to people. Ask them how they feel about how the government has done. Ask them if they feel that their voice is heard. Do they want something different? If they do, then they should join us. The more I go down this path, I recognise that small changes are not going to cut it anymore. It's like trying to glue two pieces of a shattered bowl back together and hoping it will work again. It's too far gone. It all needs binning and a new bowl altogether. COVID has just highlighted how broken it was. Our campaign needs to aim high and aim for a real democracy. So today, talk to people. Ask them if they want something new, something different. Whether people were pro or anti-lockdown, both sides feel that this government has failed. So now is the time to unite and demand a new and real democracy. One that works for the people. One where we regularly have a say. One that isn't ruled by those with money. We need a change, and that will not happen by playing their games in their systems. Save Our Rights is going to go all the way. We will fight for all of our rights and freedoms, and that includes the right to a real democracy. Do we want to be ruled by this government? Do we want a police state?
No!
Do we even need MPs?
No!
Or do we want a real democracy?
Yes!
That's what we need, and nothing else will do. Nothing else will bring about the change that is needed in all areas of this world. From the poor and the disadvantaged, all the way up to the elite. Everything needs to change. And this is what we're going to aim for, and this is what we're going to fight for. So keep coming and keep joining us. Thanks, guys.
Well, that was Louise's speech for Monday, June the 1st, and now it's Sunday, June the 7th, and the event's been moved to Sunday, so just about to hear her next speech.
Hi all! Thank you so much for being here. As you know, we've been fighting for weeks, and yet more and more of our rights and freedoms are being stripped away. How is this happening? How do we not have a voice? Because the system is corrupt. The whole system was engineered over 100 years ago to keep regular people out and downtrodden. The rich and the powerful then didn't want to risk their money, power and land. They appointed themselves to positions of power and have perpetuated this year after year, and it has become more and more corrupt. We have one vote every 5 years where the results are measured by a first-past-the-post system. That's not a democracy. Boris is not our Prime Minister because he's the best man for the job, or even competent. He doesn't even know his own laws and can't function without Cummings whispering in his ear. So how did he end up there? Because he went to Eton and knows the right people. You don't need to be good at your job with friends in high places. This has to stop. Think of the issues over recent years. Windrush, Grenfell, homelessness, WASPy, nurses' pay cap and so on. All are examples of this government stomping all over the regular people. The people that make up the fabric of this society are treated with contempt and their voices, cries for help, are all ignored. Then COVID came and we have seen the most draconian measures, our rights stripped away, our right to education, our right to society, right to work, right to healthcare and more. This has been done without even the basic of parliamentary scrutiny. People are manipulated, terrified and threatened into compliance. Social disapproval is being encouraged and people slated for even daring to question what's going on. Those brave souls being disowned by family and receiving death threats. What is this? It's not free speech, it's not a free country and it's not a democracy. We are living under their rule. We could fight each fight, we could fight track and trace, we could fight the mandatory masks, we could fight for the right to get back to work. but the system is rigged against us. We are always at a disadvantage. We may be told we've won one or two just to keep us quiet and sated, but we will never have won until we have a real democracy. Let's not give our energy to little fights, spreading ourselves too thinly, when we could just fight one big fight and change the whole system. We need to do this to protect all of the regular people and create a new future for our children. If nothing changes, nothing changes. So let's change the system. It's big, but it's doable. And we need to raise up our voices and demand that we are heard every week and every day from now until the rest of time. So let's go. Woo!
Okay, so Louise on Sunday, 7th of June 2020, and there's a band just appeared by the Peace Statue. We're going to start playing soon, so we've moved slightly away from our usual spot onto the lawn.
So as we all know, we're in this lockdown, and this lockdown has been going since March. On the 18th of March, Boris went on TV live and said that schools were closing from the end of school on Friday. And from then on, only key workers and vulnerable children would be allowed to go into school. However, on Friday, the government have said that they are not liable for any harms caused to the children that have not been in school because they didn't actually close schools. Despite the fact that Boris is recorded on TV saying that schools were closed, the government has not legislated the majority of the lockdown restrictions. They have just recommended it live on TV and made it out to be law. This is not true. We've been conned. We've not been given rules and we've not been given laws. We've just been given advice. Advice that has been presented in a way that makes us think that we have to comply, otherwise there will be consequences. Our children have missed out on 3 billion hours of childcare and education because they told us that schools were closed. Mental health disorders have gone up. The children have not had social interaction. The children have been missing out, and these are hours that they will never get back. At the same time, we've been required to pay our taxes to pay for the education that they've not been receiving. This is unacceptable, but they made it out like it was law. So everybody did it and everybody followed the rules. However, the schools have been conned. The schools thought it was a direction from the government, but it was not. It was a recommendation that the schools followed, and therefore the schools are now liable. The schools didn't know this, and this is unfair, and it's another example of how the government have manipulated this whole situation. They just manipulate and they lie. They manipulate the facts, they manipulate the rules, and they manipulate legislation, and they manipulate us people to get what they want and to look like they've got things in hand. If you notice, every recommendation that comes from Boris is based on what we've already been doing. When we went into lockdown, people had already started staying home and working from home. He then announced that that was what we should be doing. And this week he's been announcing that we can meet in groups of 6. But what have we been doing? We've been meeting in groups of 6. He's just not leading. He's just recommending what we've been doing to try and look like he's got some control over this situation when he has none. He has none. This government does not lead us. This government is just making it up as they go along, and they are causing harms without even taking into consideration what the consequences of their actions will be. This is not acceptable. This government is not fit to lead. The system is corrupt, and we need to have a change. The whole system has to come down and be rebuilt with a new way and a new hope, where everybody has a voice, with a real democracy. This cannot be accepted a moment longer, and so we will keep fighting until we have a new democracy. Woo!
That's I like the dog there. Yeah, that's Louise again on Sunday, the 14th of June, 2020.
Save our rights!
Save our rights!
Save our freedoms!
Save our freedoms!
Right to education!
Right to education!
Right to work!
Right to work!
Right to society!
Right to society!
Right to democracy!
Right to democracy!
Save our rights!
Save our rights!
Save our freedoms!
Save our freedoms!
Save our rights!
Save our rights!
Save our freedoms!
Save our freedoms!
Do we consent to the Coronavirus Act?
No!
Will we stop until our rights are restored?
No!
Do we trust this government?
No!
Save our rights!
Save our rights!
Save our freedoms! 600 amendments to other pieces of legislation. These amendments include stripping people with mental health issues of their rights. It removes protections for children in care. It removes our workers' rights. It removes our healthcare rights. It removes so many rights and freedoms that you can't even imagine. Honestly, go look it up, the Coronavirus Act 2020, and then look up the statutory instruments and the amendments it's made to other legislations and see the full extent of what this government has done under our noses without any proper scrutiny. Because every statutory instrument can just be made without any scrutiny at all. This is not how a democracy works. A democracy is based upon us voting in elected democratic people who then scrutinise legislation. But that hasn't happened, and the biggest piece of legislation has passed in recent months than it has in hundreds of years. What a piece of legislation that has stripped away all of our rights and our freedoms, and we've just let it happen. And there's no scrutiny, and it's not going to be revoked for years to come, and this cannot be accepted. So we're going to keep marching, we're going to keep spreading awareness. So please look up the Coronavirus Act 2020 and see what you think for yourself. Until then, we're going to march until we've saved our rights.
Save our rights.
Save our freedoms.
Save our freedoms.
Save our rights.
Save our rights.
Save our freedoms.
Save our freedoms.
To suggest that they did. So the government took away our children's right to education, and
One
today
critic there.
they are saying that they did not. This cannot be acceptable. Our children have lost 3 billion hours worth of education. They've lost the society of their friends, and they're having mental health issues on a huge scale. This cannot be accepted, and we cannot just let the government do things which aren't even legislation. They just made a suggestion but made it sound like it was law, so that people followed it. This is not a government that we can trust, and we need a whole new system so that we can have a real voice and a real democracy. And we want to save our rights!
Save our rights.
Save our freedoms!
Save our freedoms.
Well done, guys! I think we're going to switch to Saturday next week. We're going to move over to Saturday. I think that's going to be easier if everybody, unless anybody has big objections to Saturdays. No? Cool. So I'll put it online, and we'll see you on Saturday. Thank you.
Hi, it's Saturday, June the 20th, 2020, and 6 days after our last Save Our Rights UK speech and march. Unfortunately, I went down today to the usual spot at the Peace statue, and there's a small group gathering there, but we heard that Louise was ill this week, though we're definitely sure not with COVID-19, so I'm sure she'll be back real soon. So me and a couple of the guys wandered along to a shelter, and we sat and had a really good chat for a while over tea. I bought one, they had flasks. And then I've wandered up to St Answell Garden, which is where I sometimes come for lunch during my job when I'm working, which I'm not right now. And it's quite interesting. It's a very sunny day. Every time we've done these protest days, no matter what day Louise has had them on, it's always been a really sunny day. And today's no exception. And we've had a bit of rain, in the week and in between. She moved the day to Saturday. For all we know, it'll pour down with rain tomorrow. Who knows? Because tomorrow's Sunday. Tomorrow is also a summer solstice, which is always a remarkable day because it's the longest day of the year. Then it starts creeping in again towards winter. You can hear in the background, I'm sure, various voices of the public. Lots of picnics and stuff on the grass. This is a quite secluded part of the park where I'm recording this, but just in some woods. But it's quite busy, and quite strange rules now about social distancing, whether you can meet various people in a bubble outside your own household or one other, and all this kind of stuff. It's kind of confusing. I've been quite confused this week with the whole thing. In fact, I thought it was a lot clearer when it was a lockdown. You kind of knew where you stood. But when it gets varied, the rules, you need a kind of guidebook to what you do. But, a lot of the shops have opened up this week. I mean, after Louise's speech from last week, I met Wayne from The Information just by chance in central Brighton. We wandered around looking at the shops opening up. but loads are still closed, and obviously they're not very busy, and I've hardly been in any myself. So we'll have to see how the businesses are going to do. And they're talking now about maybe making the social distancing, say that carefully, I always get mixed up saying that, make it 1 metre instead of 2, quite possibly, and that will help pubs, particularly when they reopen, but at the moment it's still 2 metres and they're all still shut. Well, as you can hear from the elements, the weather has given up for this month, but we've had a good run of sun, and it's 27th of June, Saturday, and we're down on Hove seafront for the weekly gathering of Save Our Rights UK. And here's Louise of the group, who's just going to maybe... Louise, can I just ask you, how's it gone this month? You feel it's been getting through to the public, the demos?
I think it's been great. We've definitely been getting a more rousing response. We've been talking more about what's been going on, raising awareness, and it's been great to get cheers and claps and everything, and people are more open to it. People are realising how badly everything's been handled, and people's discontent with the government is increasing, and that's what we need to harness. We need to harness people's discontent, unhappiness, and everybody is unhappy with the government right now. Even the people who wanted a lockdown, even people who were in favour of this, as far as they're concerned, it's not been done strict enough, so they're not happy, as well as the people who were opposed to it from the beginning. So now is the time to work with everybody and to unite people in saying that this system doesn't work. This system doesn't work, and we can change this system. And that's got to be the aim. The aim has got to be to change the whole system from not from the inside out, because we can't get inside it. And if we try and get inside it, we're playing their game. We've got to change it from the outside, with the people, with the masses. And it's possible. So we need to unite, we need to gather as many people as we can in all different manners, protesting online, podcasts, websites, and just raising awareness wherever we can, to get together and make a real change, a long-lasting change that's going to benefit generations for years. And that is to change the whole political system, the tax system, the banking system, the health and education system, into one that works for the people and is a real democracy, where we have a voice, we can hold people to account, and we're not governed under any sort of dictatorship. This cannot happen again. Nothing like this can happen again. And if we have a real democracy, then we'd have a voice and we'd be able to stop this from ever happening again. So that's what we're going to campaign for, and we're going to keep working towards in a whole manner of ways. And yeah, we're really excited, and there's real momentum building up. So
how do listeners, if they want to follow the group or join it or take part, how can they get in touch or follow what you're doing?
So you can find me on Facebook. I'm Louise Creffield, and we've got the group is Save Our Rights UK. There's a Facebook group, a Facebook page, a Twitter page, and an Instagram page. But the Facebook group is where most of the information gets shared, and there's a big community there. And you can ask questions, message me, and get involved. And if you've got things to offer, and then we're looking for as many people who have got time and energy to put into this as possible. Because yeah, it's a big task, but it's the only fight worth fighting as far as I'm concerned.
With information, where unknown forces strike the edge of ecology.